Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming for our Conversations of Change session on sustainability and climate. So, to give you a brief of what Climate Asia is a non-profit dedicated to strengthening the climate ecosystem in Asia through capacity building of organizations focusing on human resources, especially organizational development and thought leadership. Climate Asia is a new initiative bridging the gap between working with direct and indirect climate actors and organizations across the spectrum in various sectors. We will accomplish this by building a movement to inspire people to work in the climate ecosystem, a digital platform to find climate jobs, climate funding, events, news, thought leadership in the form of convenings, conferences, panel discussions, and dialogue. Climate Asia endeavors to create conversations around three pillars: share, empower, and connect, by increasing awareness, upskilling the ecosystem, and catalyzing networking among players within and outside of the industry. We have launched the Conversations of Change session, a video interview series centered around the most pertinent crisis of our times, climate change. Conversation of Change attempts to synthesize perspective around climate action, skills, talent, and journey of various climate leaders and their role in the ecosystem. Mr. Aseem Kumar, Deputy Director and Head APRC UN Global Compact Network India, is a first-class BCom Honours graduate from Hansraj College, Delhi University, and an MBA from Podar Institute of Management. Aseem has worked across diverse areas, including domestic and international marketing, academics, executive education, and MDPs. He has worked with giants such as Dayton's, Marshall's, Target, and Otto, among others. His academic experience includes teaching students at the MBA and PGDM level in marketing. He was a head at the Center of Management Development at All India Management Association, where he successfully developed and delivered programs such as Global Advanced Management Program, HR Summit, SCM Summit, Innovation Conference, and so on. He has also worked with IMI New Delhi and Ford School of Management as an Associate Vice President and General Manager. He was also responsible for successfully launching the online executive education program at Ford. Aseem is a wide traveler and has traveled across continents, in Europe, in the United States, in China, and many more. Okay, with that, I'd like to begin with the questions for our session. So the first question is, could you please describe the work that you do at UN-GCNI and what your roles are as the Deputy Director and Head APRC?
For those who do not know about Global Compact Network and Global Compact Network India, let me just say that in India, we are the largest corporate sustainability initiative. And we actually are mandated to drive all 17 SDGs and 10 UN Global Principles. Sustainability is something, which is far more critical for all of us compared to, the only the material development. So our work actually concerns advocacy, then research projects. Then we do a lot of awareness generation programs. We do a lot of capacity building. And also of late, we decided, and this is actually coming straight from UNGC now is a one. So the strategy is that one UNGC. So everywhere we have started working on the ground initiatives. And I'm very happy to share that in India, we have already worked in the water domain where water and wash was the primary objective. But this was a project which we did for a multinational organization whose raw material is water. And once we went to those 21 remote villages in Maharashtra during peak COVID time, and the idea was to be able to create and erect and build infrastructure, which means that watershed development for 175,000 cubic meters. And that was not the only goal, because we firmly believe that it is not that I come and talk to you and my role is over. So in a project situation also, you have to work with the community, you have to work with the people, make them feel like owners. And even when you have accomplished all the goals that you thought will be required or as deliverables of the project, even then your responsibility doesn't end. If you want to make it really sustainable, then you'll have to handhold and keep guiding and supporting the beneficiaries. Otherwise, I'm sure most of us have seen, sometimes these sulabh shauchalayas and other such facilities like hand pumps, etc., were provided, and within less than a month or so, everything becomes defunct. So how to own and how to then take care of that particular you know benefit that has been given to the people, that also is our responsibility, and that is when it becomes sustainable. Yeah.
That's wonderful. And the fact that you make the community members feel like owners, and additionally, you have such experience in nurturing partnerships and alliances. So, at the end of the day, how would you describe how can an organization deeply journey into the space? And what are your key learnings while you are nurturing partnerships and alliances?
The power of partnerships is also a very critical part of the sustainable development goals, if you have seen. So, we firmly believe that goal number 17, partnership for goals, is the one which we have to use. And these partnerships could be two people partnerships, or these could be partnership and alliance between regions, community, government, and all the other stakeholders. And everything has to be viewed from a global perspective. So we are talking about the entire humanity. And there's a great saying from our past, Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. So we have to leave no one behind. And that has been the main learning. So we have to actually mainstream using our power of partnerships. And I have always been saying that this is not something which is related to only CSR. It is the responsibility of each one of us to look within, then look outside, and charity begins at home. So, first, what I can do for this, then what my family can do. Being true to oneself is the very integral and basic, quality that is required. And I have to say quality because honesty also has become something where, I have to say I am honest. I am supposed to be honest. Unfortunately, in the development, material development progress that has happened, and that is also very important because that gives us the economic empowerment and sustainability, which is very, very critical. But the fact remains that if you stop being human, if you stop being a part of the community or the country or the region, you will not succeed. And whatever you may think of yourself, you are bound to face the music sooner than later. because time is not far when people will only work for companies which are, using ESG and sustainability and other routes. Those who are actually uh, will not even be able to get any vendors, will not be able to get employees and the market for their products. And this is going to happen sooner than later. Because here also in India, as you know, government has been very, very proactive in aligning all the progress of the country uh, alongside in the framework of the SDGs. So that gives a very good, impetus to the whole thing, and we have to take into account that Government of India, in fact, BIS, I am also a member of one of the subcommittees on CSR and SDGs at Bureau of Indian Standards, and slowly but surely, very soon, one index will come out, and unless you are able to meet those things, you will not be allowed to do business, or people will not look at you with. So right now, if something is happening with 1,000 companies, then we do not have only 1,000 companies. We have companies and resources all over. That's how we see that weddings still happening at scales where I don't know how much is wasted and how much is saved, but that will have to be, done away with, because remember, if I am able to eat 3 square meals, I am doing this at the cost of somebody going hungry. So this is, I think, the biggest learning, that be in the focus of your own self all the time, and then with that focus you move, make relationships, nurture them, and ensure that the work which is supposed to be our primary responsibility, which we have not been doing for so many years, now is the time. So jahan jago wahi savera, it is simply like that. Yeah.
Thank you for shedding such light on the work that one needs to do in engaging the community and partnerships. And additionally, we'd like to understand at UNGCN, you do the work to drive SDGs and the 10 UN Global Principles. Keeping that in mind, how do you attract talent and what are the essential skill sets that are needed to be working in this area?
Very good question, and I'm very happy that you asked this, because you know when we say that we need action, collective action, that means it cannot happen without the human resource. Millions upon millions of jobs, are green jobs, are going to be available very, very soon. And if we do not have the right talent ready to jump into those roles, it will be difficult. And therefore, when we say that, one has to have a communication skill and one has to have an interpersonal skill, one will have to then understand the sustainability and SDGs framework before one is able to actually join. So for this, lot of efforts people are doing. And what is happening is that, again, in this field, a lot of ed tech companies are there who have actually mastered the art, and they are offering sustainability courses. My only worry is that, one is that, very frankly, the uh, cost is something which is out of bounds in certain cases. So something needs to be done about that. And also, there are courses available which are free of charge, on available on, those MOOC kind of open software, this thing. But the point is that that also requires a lot of self-discipline. In fact, we also started this, and the response was very good, but ours was for only business executives, because our largest engagement is with the corporates. So this was a e-learning certificate. We have done 2 batches, and this was on business and CSR. So where we talk about what is CSR, what is CSR law, what is mandated, what have been changes, because India is the only country in the world which has CSR laws. And with time, the system has been evolving, because that is not something written in, stone. This is something which is a developmental law, and therefore now you would have seen that the CSR spend also has to be aligned with the SDGs and sustainable development goals. So that is one part of the understanding, that the law, so that you know how far you can go and what could be your strengths. Then the next part is understanding sustainability, the entire ecosystem, the various challenges, and how can those challenges are being converted by some of the people, because there are a lot of large corporates, and I'm very proud of those, Indian MNCs, those who are doing tremendous work on the world stage. So there are uh, aisles of excellence, but bringing them all together is something, so that uh, solutions are also multi-pronged. So, and we have to totally, go away from the normal skill sets where you just go do a job and come back, because this particular field is something where you have to have passion, you have to have, you know, care for people, empathy, and all those. And also, you see, when we talk about the 10 principles, so these 10 principles relate to largely to, labor and human rights. And when we say hunger, when we say education, when we say health, these are all fundamental and basic human rights requirements. So people have to understand that part also very, very clearly, because if you say that I am into SDGs and you are not following those, that means you are destroying anything that you've done so far. So very important for these youth who are getting prepared for jobs, they must actually understand the whole ecosystem. And lot of material luckily now is available on online. So it is very important that they first realize that this is not like a normal job. This is a job which elevates you. This is a job which uplifts you, but only after you have given yourself fully to that cause. Because these are very difficult times. We have very less time on our hands, because 2030 is just 8 years and less than 8 years away. And we have to then scale up and speed up, and all that can go into this has to be taken care of.
Thank you for sharing all the work that you do in terms of the modules at UNGCN in sustainability and the UN's SDGs as well. Since we've talked so much about higher education and its role in sustainability, what advice would you give to a mid-career professional transitioning into the sustainability space, as well as to a young graduate who wants to work in a sustainability space as well?
Yeah, so first thing first, you, if you want to transition, you have to be very, very clear as to what value you are able to bring to the table, and what are the skill sets which will match with the expectation of the role. So, because jobs are in plenty in this sector, let me tell you. And people are needed also because, when we say that let us make into mainstream marketing, I don't want to use the word promotion. I want to use the word advertise. You come and hold your trumpet and blow it the hardest and loudest you can. So, therefore, for mid career transitioning, it is important for them again to first understand the entire space and then see how and where they can gel in. There are specialists, those recruitment agencies or job search portals which cater only to this sector, and that is very heartening because you know uh, that is growing actually. So earlier there used to be, let's say, one or two, and people were not interested, but now we have a lot of opportunities. It is a question of the mid-career executive trying to find that position, trying to understand and see what is the fitment. And I'm sure these organizations also, you know, uh, I would say, counsel you as to what could be your strength converted into a skill for a development job. And it is at this stage when people want to transition after couple of decades of work, uh, they will have to also understand that this sector, though it pays okay, but they cannot be matching with what they were getting. So one will have to clearly understand that this is like being an entrepreneur and you know taking the mental on one's shoulders and moving ahead. Now, for the younger ones or who are just passed out, so my suggestion once again to them is that lot of internship opportunities are available, and they should plan accordingly and get themselves into. And these days I'm very happy to share that university graduates uh, have been interns with us also, because they will even first year students, they want to make use of the 2 months summer holidays. And that initiative happens because their institution is very well aware that rather than sending them to only commercial operations, we should also give them a taste and feel of the actual fight, where they could be the warriors and champions to achieve those goals. So, and the moment a person starts working in this space during the internship or learning through some online platform, they also realize that uh, you know challenges are real. So a lot of times people feel, oh, we have got this, water is not a problem for us, electricity is like we use ACs all the time, but that is not going to last. So, what I am saying is that functional literacy about sustainability, sustainable development goals, and the UNGC 10 global principles is a must. And we are making a lot of efforts in making sure that, wherever we go, we give this message. Because one is that even today, my experiences somewhere have been where, students who are organizing a festival of sustainability, and these are final students who have been placed in very good organizations. And when I go to interact with them, and there are about 60 youngsters with stars in their eyes, and I just ask the most basic question, that okay, how many of you know about the SDGs? And not even one hand gets raised. that means there is a problem. And who's responsible for that? Each one of us. So if you are celebrating and doing a sustainability week and you don't know what is the SDG framework, and on the contrary, I think schools are doing very well in class 10, 12, 8, 7, 3rd. Some of the schools have, you wouldn't have even heard of those schools' names, but they are doing work which is far, far ahead of any business institution, I mean, academic institution, higher education. And also, there are certain courses which, organizations had, academic institutions had, the foresight to understand. It is not only about doing a job, doing a course, undergoing a training, getting a certification. It is all about, being true and positive towards the problems of the world. And only we can, nobody else can. That's why we say together we can, and together we will. And I also add together we must. Yeah.
Thank you so much for giving your opinion and your light, the throwing light on what a person can do to enter the sustainability space. Additionally, you talked extensively about the work you did in Maharashtra with in remote villages to build infrastructure in water. And you also have a water and wash workstream challenge at UNGCNI, contributing towards conserving water and improving access to wash services for organizations in their own supply chains and for the community around them. We wanted to know, how did you come up with this idea to create such a unique contest on the idea of water conservation in line with SDG 6?
So when we thought of a water and wash work stream, a lot of thought had gone into it. We had actually, as a precursor to announcing the work stream, we had done one global CEOs roundtable on water and wash, from which we collected a lot of ideas. And then we also did a water tech CEOs roundtable to understand the role that this technology can play in solving this problem. And the first leg would be a pilot where we'll have four corporate members and knowledge partners. So for this particular stream, as an integral part of the stream, we thought of this challenge. And why our challenge is different? Because we, don't give any reward or award, physical, tangible award, but we give a, platform for organizations to showcase their efforts, which means that there is, a lot of learning coming out of these, uh, you know, contests, and it is a very good engagement tool. So if I were to say that, okay, there will be a music night and this and that, so we are not in that space, but we firmly believe, and God is most kind, and our people, our friends, our colleagues, our corporates, they are fantastic people, fully aligned to the goals and 10 principles. And therefore, they have been participating. And we have done certain other contests also. And, under circumstances when everybody would say that, what nonsense are you doing? People are busy firefighting, this is COVID. But we knew that somebody who has a passion would definitely want to share it with the whole world. The idea being that, you know, on the same platform, too many best practices come together. Sometimes a smaller company can teach much more to a giant, and vice versa. And then people also get inspired, people also can replicate, people can scale up, and that is the basic idea. Yeah.
That's fantastic to hear about your role on how you're implementing SDG 6 and the work around the WASH challenge. Additionally, you also write on LinkedIn about achieving SDGs and embracing the UN principles. In one such newsletter, you talked about mainstreaming women's role in water conservation. Uh, what do you how do you implement the role of gender in water and wash as a part of SDGs?
You see, first thing is that it is not only about water and wash. It is about any agenda that we have. We have to be, uh, create and make room for gender equity, equality, empowerment, and diversity and inclusion means much more than only gender. So whatever it is, that has to be kept in mind, because then again you are going back to the same human rights principles. So this is one. Second is that we feel that women have done some exceptional work, and COVID also taught us that they can manage both work and families, and still they have energy left. And I mean, it is wonderful for anyone to work in the company of women, because there is a lot to learn from them. And if you were to look around, you will find from the history itself that there have been women who have changed the world. And yet again, this time, we are actually privileged that we have so many women around, those who are educated as well as those who are not educated. They are trying to make a difference at their respective levels. Now it is up to us to mainstream them. So for example, uh, we do one particular initiative in India called the Gender Equality Summit. And this time we did it, and we actually focused on women's role in climate action. And the kind of ideas that came and the discussions that happened were out of this world. So each time we go and look up to the women, they will have some solution which is much better than most others. And this is why we say that Nari Shakti, and it is time that we just do away with this gender bias and this and that. Although it is difficult, but it is not impossible. So if somebody writes that it will take India or the world 132 years or 200 some years to become a gender, I would say, balance. So that will not work, because by then most of us would have been gone, and I don't know what will happen to the planet. So time is now, and if anybody says we don't have to believe, we have to just move ahead with positivity. And this is actually the essence, because women bring a lot of confidence, a lot of positivity, and above all, perseverance. So the patience, because everything cannot be done by raising one's voice. And normal cases, you would have seen that people want to cry and shout, and then they want to feel powerful. That is a short sign of being somebody very weak and timid. So this is something which is extremely critical, that we respect, that we let them lead, that we work with them, because there are organizations which are advertising that we need male colleagues also. So I mean, this situation, if we can change it, and we will have to change it, will become the prime source of all sustainable collective action. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. Additionally, Climate Asia really prides itself to work with women and gender, especially to help bridge the gap in talent and the in the climate and sustainability space. Earlier this year, you had a contest, an HR championship for the best innovative and sustainable practices in corporate India. What were your key learnings from that exercise?
So this also has a background that this started happening in the peak COVID time that I think mentioned earlier in this session only. So we first during the COVID we launched a Indian challenge, or the Indian best practices, and we focused only on the employees of those organizations, because this was something we were doing for the first time. And that was a time when all the HR heads and leaders were the only firefighters, were the only people ensuring that a lot of things they had to manage, because it was quite disruptive and nobody knew what to do. So they rose to the occasion, and they made sure, because a lot of things had to happen that time. So even if somebody, you have to take care of their health also, you have to take care of their family's health also. You have to make sure that if they are working from home, then certain infrastructure is needed. Then there were organizations where possibly, certainly in case of one or two PSUs where they had a lot of work on computers, but not everybody in their system was used to online work or online learning or whatever. But these HR guys were tremendous, and since we realized that this is happening, so we requested them to participate in this and give their best practices. So again, this will be something which will first be reviewed by an independent jury, nobody from our organization or from the corporates organization, totally neutral. And once that happens, so there will be some 10, 15 case studies which will be shortlisted for the grand finale. And that grand finale also will have a different global jury. And they will make presentations, the teams. So I'm very happy to share with you that although people laughed at us, but we received 60 entries from Indian corporates, and the program was super successful because this participation itself sent signals to people that this is what is the power of HR, this is what is the power of looking inwards, this is the power of taking onus and responsibility. And as a result, the compendium and everything that was done was very well received. And then only at the grand finale, we had announced that we will do the next round, which will be a global round. And accordingly, we did that also. There also, we met with great success, lot of learning. Idea being that, whoever is doing good work, they, most companies I talk to, so they are doing humongous work for planet, people, and all these causes. But somehow they are not trying to project, which is wrong. Unless you project, unless you let people know, how will others replicate? How will others learn? How will others appreciate the importance? So, this is actually when I said that we do it for engagement and impact and outreach. So, that is the idea and worked very, very well. And there also a lot of women team participated and gender balance team that okay, there are two women leaders and one male colleague or vice versa. And this is I think the best way possible to get that essence which is required to be fed into the system, so that people are confident that yes, if X is saying this is possible, it may not work. But if X is demonstrating that it has already worked, then others will also be ready to, follow suit. So that is the idea.
Uh, Thank you for sharing your learnings and your successful exercise at the championship. And like, this is more of a question for you. How do you how do you disengage from work? How do you disconnect from work? And what are the kind of things that you've learned to be able to disengage when you need to?
You see, a very important question because it is very important to rely on certain relaxation exercises. So these are some of the yoga exercises, some of the pranayam and breathing exercises. Then I walk a lot, in the sense that in my colony where I stay, we have a 500 meters of one round. So I try to do about 6 rounds with my wife every day. And if that is something which keeps us going, and also disengaging per se is not possible because one is so involved in this that even while walking, if I am thinking okay, for this we will do this, we will do that, but then also there are ways and means. So I am very interested in sports, so I watch those sports. One reads also a lot, and fiction I read, which means which takes me to a different world altogether. And another thing is, I love all the great artists and people who do so much for us without even charging us anything. So I always thank those people and the God Almighty. So I watch a lot of movies. So, and my interest is not only in Hindi movies, but regional. Although this has become popular now, that everybody is looking at regional movies, but I've been doing this for many, many years. And, some are really good and some are just time pass, but it gives you a distraction. And earlier we used to watch a lot of live plays and go to concerts. So that has been curtailed, but as things are opening up, I think we will do that also. Plus, meeting people. So in my colony, I'm very happy to share that, I never share that I am doing this kind of work, just because, it is a different environment. Although those close to me, they know what I am doing and they are also following suit. And our colony was the first one to start water harvesting in, mid 80s. So we are a very, very sustainable and, you know, real example of community living. But there, almost everybody knows me and I know them, because all it takes is, even if you are walking with a mask, if you do this or if you do this, people feel very happy. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing so deeply with that.
Parting note is actually meant for all of us, including me, you, and the whole world. And somebody has said that अभी इश्क के इम्तिहान और भी हैं, अभी इश्क के इम्तिहान और भी हैं, सितारों से आगे जहां और भी हैं. Which means that whatever I have said or whatever the world is doing, there are many things which the youth can take it upon themselves, because we work a lot with youth, what they are able to do somehow, because it is their life which is going to be most affected. So they are the ones sometimes who are teaching us and curtailing us from doing the wrong thing, or what is not desirable. So this is the correct verse was सितारों से आगे जहां और भी हैं, अभी इश्क के इम्तिहान और भी. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing that. It was really lovely to hear that. And with that, we come to the end of the session. And thank you so much, Aseem, for joining us.